All right, so moving on now, let's talk about Catwoman Hunted, right?
Sure.
This was, if you all remembered from DC fandom, this was one of the animated films that was promised that we would have gotten this year, right?
Yes.
But
Right.
I was actually surprised that it came out literally yesterday, like about less than a day ago at the time of us recording here, right? Um, and from what I remember from the trailer itself was, well, the anime style that was incorporated in it, right? Well, Ricardo, I want you to do the synopsis first, right? But
Sure.
me, like when I first saw it, I assumed that it was an American version of anime. So like our
Right.
fellow collaborator Ashton Menzies would call it a Marry Me instead of
Right.
anime, right? So it's like that, right? You know what? It kind of reminds me a bit of like Totally Spies, if you all remember that show from
All right. Yeah. A little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
from EVC Family, I think it was, yeah,
Right.
where it looked like it's Japanese, but I think it's like European. Some European animation studio do it, but it looked like anime in a sense, so it's like that now, right? But is to my surprise when I actually watch the show, it's like it's actually anime though, like
Yeah.
actually anime, and
Yeah.
they really capitalize on the fact that yes, you're watching an anime, but not to an obnoxious level like how Batman Ninja did, right?
Mm.
Thankfully,
Yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
go that far, right? Thankfully, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, Ricardo, take it away. What was Catwoman Hunted about?
Sure. So basically, yeah, Catwoman is, being Catwoman, mucking about, trying to, steal some stuff because, she's Catwoman. And what they do with it is they play on the conceit of, well, she knocking about the world. She's the world traveler type thief, and they give us, well, it's basically Fujiko Mine, right? If you know who that character is Lupin III, right?
Yes, yes,
You get
yes.
that conceit. They play with that a lot. So what happened is that she joins this secret party, pretending to she cosplays as herself, Catwoman, and she gets
Okay.
in, and then she steals something, but it was interrupted and messed up by someone in the Bat family, and she has to run down. She gets run down by some of the big wigs, so mostly Black Mask, but they have Barbara Minerva, if you know who that is, which is like, oh, okay. And
Yeah,
then
and Tobias Whale. You forgot
and then right,
Tobias. Yeah.
yeah, and Tobias Whale, right? And basically just this hidden bunch of like DC criminals, Illuminati type, group. I forget the name, the something.
It was
Is it before?
Leviathan.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. They went with Leviathan in this
Right,
one.
right, right.
Okay. Well.
And
Sorry to cut there, but I guess you all will tell me because I feel like the show itself purposefully is referencing other characters from other comics and whatnot, right? But
right.
The choices that they make, no, I
Yeah, I'll
feel
get
like
to that.
are based from actual comics. Now.
Yeah. No,
Right.
it's all of these characters in the comics. Like they have a certain Bat character that becomes back a Bat character in quotes. Um, yeah. So basically, but what happens is that Selena now gets roped in with that member of the Bat family. She gets roped into a larger conceit trying to take down Leviathan. As basically a criminal organization, and what they're doing and why. And then you find out, well, Selena has a deeper, more personal reason as to why she's involved in the whole situation. And well, involving Interpol, and I want to say Alfred's daughter. Like, oh, that's Alfred's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, so that's basically it. So she works together with Bat family member and Interpol to take down this criminal organization, and then you find out who she have to really take on at the end. And again, the choices are really interesting choices, because it's smart thematic choices in my opinion. Who Catwoman would have to fight? It's like, yeah, that makes sense because it's a Catwoman storyline. It's like, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that's the conceit. Um, I enjoyed this. Not great, but good. Reasonably competent. Ironically, the one person I thought would have impressed me the most, impressed me the least. This is Stephanie Beatrix, right?
Yeah.
I
Who
thought
plays? Because
plays
they
well
keep
the
saying that
Batwoman.
Batgirl.
member, Batwoman, the Bat family member,
Yes.
Batwoman. I didn't really care for her voice acting. I thought it was pretty weak in this. I don't know if it's the direction or what, but that's the only thing that I didn't like overall in it. Another thing I didn't care for was the dialogue was kind of weak. Like just clumsy jokes and not that clever, and they're overdoing the whole talking while in action thing. Like, look, you could do that a little bit, but it's too much. That's about it. Everything else is fine. The plot itself is fine. Selena Kai's characterization is solid. What the overall conceit of the story is great. Again, this is something that I thought could have been a series years ago, and somebody finally pulled the trigger and did it. Which is, you're doing the anime thing, so you're square loop and the third with Catwoman. That makes sense. Like, it's kind of like when you do this whole what is DC Black thing.
Yes, yeah.
And a lot of people wanted Catwoman, but playing a Michael Mann character. Like, it's like that. Just take a thing and mix it with another thing because it seems to synthesize well. Yeah. Catwoman is basically Fujiko Mini. Let's admit that. She's a femme fatale, but she's also on her own beat, and she's an anti-hero, and she's a little bit of an asshole. And they do all of that with this. And that basically, it really lines up well. And nothing in it is ruined or undermined in any serious way. Again, if it was, I wish they could have punched up the script a little bit. But that's about it. Everything else is fine, and I enjoyed it for what it was. What going on in the main plot, and I mentioned kind of a spoiler, Barbara Minerva, right? Well, we know who that is if you know your DC Comics, right? And it's like, that makes perfect sense. And then they bring in a couple other characters who's like, thematically that also makes sense given the storyline. But it's a bunch of solid and decent enough action and fights. I enjoyed it. Rating, nothing great. But, as I said, this is what Batman Ninja should have been closer to in terms of playing with the conceit of DC character, comic book character, but anime.
In this,
7 out of 10. I thought it was fine. I enjoyed it. I paid attention. They made a lot of smart choices in terms of who the villain should be and why. They had one villain choice at the end that was kind of clumsy. I felt they could have done without that. I felt they could have cut that villain out and have the main villain be that character in the ending, but whatever, it's fine. That's about it. 7 out of 10. It's decent. Smart enough, good enough, decent storytelling without too much Bat Family in it. In fact, to be honest, I felt they could have probably even cut out the Bat Family member and do someone else. But it works for what it is. And when I saw who it was, I was like, all right, they're going to do this scene and it's going to be a big cheesecake scene. But the whole thing is so corny and over the top. You couldn't take a lick of it seriously, but it's reasonably well done. But it's so silly. It's a total cheesecake moment, and it's just very dumb and silly. But it works for what it is. It's reasonably charming. Some people might be offended, maybe. I don't know, sure. Small thing, but this is something I had with the other Bat Family movie with character from Bat Family who Stephanie Beatrix plays. The character a little incompetent. I still kind of annoyed how they keep having this character kind of incompetent in these movies. She's a little dumber than she should be, but whatever, it's still fine. Like it works for what it is, and it's a younger version of the character, so it's somewhat excusable. 7 out of 10. I dug it for what it was.
All right, so speaking of Stephanie Beatrix, right? I didn't even know that she was in this movie, right? Because she's one of the two names that actually shows up, before the movie, before the story even starts rolling. The other one is Elizabeth.
Yeah, she seems to be doing a lot of voice work now, so I'm glad that she's actually good in have you guys been watching The Legend of Vox Machina?
Right, I heard about that.
I've been hearing things about that. I have no clue what it's about though.
I haven't gotten around to seeing it, but I heard it's
making fun of the whole Dungeons and Dragons themes, but in a very cool and respectful way. So, there's only 3 episodes I've seen so far. 3 episodes, but it's a lot of fun. A good voice work.
Yeah, I was just a little underwhelmed with her in this because she was so good in Encanto. Like I just come off from Encanto, and she was so excellent and pitch perfect in that. So in this, it really feel like a afterthought in terms of like the direction, or they could have really, I don't know. It's a relatively smaller project, to be honest. So whatever, I suppose how much time and effort and takes and whatever it is you're going to do with it. But that's about it. It's not bad, or anything like that. But it really feel at times she's reading lines, at times. But whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, but I think for me, like you're right, because we've seen Encanto, and I don't know, like for me watching that for the first time, I didn't even know she could sing like that. I was like, holy shit, right? And then the voice that she she incorporated for that film. So when you hear her in this movie, it's like, yes, it's Rosa Diaz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
right?
And
but it's
that same kind of like
Rosa Diaz voice. That's not her real voice.
Right, exactly. I know. Yeah. Well, no, they play with that in this, They play with that in this. So when the again the cheesecake moment happens, and she's like, well, quote unquote exposed. She changes the voice. So I suppose that's where they was kind of going for. I suppose that's where it is, but it still felt like a kind of annoying and distracting. Because when you hear her quote unquote real voice, it sounds fine. So it's like, oh, okay, I kind of get what they're going for. So that is where the conceit is somewhat excused, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's right. So without spoiling anything, it's basically try to do, the whole Catwoman Batman dynamic, right?
Right.
If you know, that's it, right? So you know how Batman, you always make the joke, okay, he has to have this tough voice because he's Batman, right? And he have to kind of show that, he not gonna take any shit. He not making any jokes with Catwoman, right? Even though Catwoman might come off very, very frivolous and whatnot, right? So having Stephanie incorporate, the Rosadia's voice now, it's just like, I get, but still, it just sounds a little too monotone for the character though. I don't know if that's the point of it, but just thinking about that, I feel is the whole, okay, I'm Batman. That's what they're going for. And I just couldn't help but think of Rosa, right? Also, I do agree with you in terms of dialogue. It could feel a little weak at points. I think really is because this is an anime, right? And while I was watching the show, I couldn't help but think, I wonder how it would sound if it was in Japanese, right? I know how it sounds, but I mean, the line delivery. Because if you notice, there's some moments where it's an anime thing, right? So, if you're not a fan of this, you would you probably will tick you off, right? Where, you feel like they say any line that they're supposed to say, but you feel like they add a certain line, a certain word or phrase to stretch it out so it could match the mouth movements. So it feels like that now. Case in point, these two guys who were watching security, and they're like complaining, hey, there's a cat there. But if you look at their faces, it does not look like, hey, that damn cat. It doesn't look like that at all, right? But they're supposed to treat it like it's because it's anime, right? But it is like that, right? But that though, I mean, there are some clever moments, dialogue as well too. Yes, Ricardo, you're right. They do the whole talking during a fighting. Catwoman does that a lot though, but at times it work. At times it work, right? And I actually did like the dynamic between her and Batwoman, right? Even though the cheesecake moment, without spoiling anything, I feel like this is, Warner again trying to push that PG-13 rated. Yeah. But I was like, I kind of see why they do it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those moments that kind of make you think, But I do like the fact that they kind of pay them now because, honestly, I didn't even know that she was going to be in this movie, right? Batwoman. I actually forgot the trailer. I saw it months ago, right? Yeah, I do think they actually work as a duo. And I was even thinking to myself, if they actually greenlight a series, I would actually like to see say a Catwoman series, not a Catwoman and Batwoman series, right? No. But I would like to see more, films with the two of them together. I think they do work together.
Yeah, I mean, we already have that kind of working energy with the Harley Quinn show, right? In a sense. Like, you could still do that with the jokes, just give it a better budget, have it as, give the Catwoman from that show a spin-off or something. Like, you could do something in that same vein and bring in more Bat Family stuff. I don't know. Small little nitpick. They had the occasional kind of inconsistent animation stuff, so like she got a scratch on her face, but it's under the goggles for some reason. That was kind of weird. Like,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Little bullshit like that. That's a little nitpicky bullshit like that. But that's about it. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head with the Lupin the Third reference because the show is like just a love letter to that, right? Right down to the music. I forgot the guy who composed the music. It's a Japanese composer, but I thought like his work in this was stellar in my opinion, right? I like the fact that it wasn't just jazzy because it's Lupin the Third, it's heist stuff, right? It's let's chase after the thief, so we have to have this breezy jazz music. Like they do that, right? But they also incorporate some electric music. I hear a little reggaeton, a little rock here and there as well too. Mm-hmm. So I like how he kind of kept things fresh there. It wasn't just, I'm going to do jazz because it's all looping stuff, right? Also, in terms of references, though, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I pick up on a little bit of, again, all film nerdy here, right? Female prisoner Scorpion. So that's like a famous woman in cages story. Is actually like really dope in my opinion, though. But the opening, like the title sequence, though, because this is like one gripe I had with this movie, right? So they keep hinting at an event that took place that, we were doing this operation and Catwoman got in the way and, we're not going to let that happen again. But I thought we'd actually seen the moment or actually seen the repercussions of it, right? But no, all we just get is just, this opening title sequence and that pretty much kind of shows what happens, but it's just all done stylistically. So
Right.
you have to kind of watch close and be like, oh, okay, this is not just a random scene for the sake of hyping, the viewer up. It actually is related to something that happened before that they're gonna touch on, right? Which they do, but not enough. Which I was like,
right.
okay,
Well,
why?
I actually personally hated that reveal at the end. It's one of those things like, oh, well, I was in charge the entire time, and like, okay, yeah, I don't like that. Like to me, the original plan made more sense to me and worked. But whatever, it's fine.
And I mean, going back to rated or peachy tooch, right? Like you're saying, like you could have a certain moment where you actually see that play. Like, I mean, yes, it's a really like grim subject topic, but like you still could show enough of it though. Like not too much for you to be like, oh wow, why am I not feeling the fun anymore, right? But still to have it there in the title sequence and then be like, oh well, this was a thing. It's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. I mean the animation style for this, I mean this anime, it works for the most part, right? But again, it all depends on how much anime you like, right? So if you're not a fan of it, you might kind of cringe every time a character, talk or move or whatnot. But I had little to no problems with the animation at all, in general, right? All the side characters that show up, right? Tobias Wheel, Black Mask and stuff like that. They give them the time. Of course, Keith David is playing Tobias. I was like, okay.
They
actually gave him to play another character too. They actually had him to play another character. That's all we'll see. I was like, okay, give it this extra work because you have a low voice, right?
Yeah, so they got Jonathan Frakes in it. So I was like, hey, that sounds like Jonathan Frakes. He played
Mannheim.
Seeing
that in
yes.
Yeah,
he played Mannheim. I was like, oh, okay, Mannheim in this. All right, not bad.
And Jonathan Banks is Black Mass. That's very
yeah.
Oh yes, that was it.
Awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of anime though, so I said before, I'm glad that they didn't do the obnoxious, references to anime, like anime tropes like what Batman Ninja did, right? Here,
Batman Ninja was just like ridiculous. It
was just too much. It's like I remember seeing in a review. If you hate anime, that show has like all the reasons why you hate anime is in that show, and all the reasons why you love anime is in that show, right? If you're a fan of anime, so it's like that, right? But in this one, is like, okay, we have Leviathan, and each member have their own specific power, and when you see this, like, yeah, it's animating, yeah, that's animating, yeah.
Right.
But I like how they pull it off though. It was unexpected, but they make it work for the most part.
In the DC universe, it there is it makes sense, like him doing, like when they see what Mannheim does, like we know how he could do something like that because he connected to Darkseid, like all right, cool. So that's why none of it like was too mind blowing, for me. I don't know about a problem with any of that. It's like in the context of the DC universe, all of that makes sense. Like it's fine. Yeah.
Right. And in terms of like last boss, that's all I'll say. Perfect choice in terms of who they got as well too. I like the fact that it's Catwoman, so of course put Catwoman with ... That makes sense. Yeah, it worked, right? I forgot to mention too. There's one member of Leviathan who says a line though, and how she counters that was just awesome in my opinion. It's like, oh, you could do this. Well, yeah, I can do that too. How they pull that off, I thought was brilliant in my opinion, right? And as a whole, I mean, this was just a fun film, right? I mean, if you take it too seriously and expecting it to be dark and grimy, then you would not enjoy this, right? But it's just, I would say it feels like a matinee. You know what I mean? Just something that you just kick back and just have fun with. I mean, the voice acting works for the most part, though. Even Miguel Stephanie Beatrix, even though again she's Rosa Diaz, right? But I really felt like Elizabeth Gillies, who plays Catwoman. I thought that she was great in this, right? She just captures all that nuance. It's not just, oh, I'm just gonna sound sexy because I'm sexy, right? But there's more to it than that, and I really dug that about it. She
give off Catwoman vibes in all her performances. I think she was kind of made for this in a sense. If you watch her from her early work in Victoria, come forward. So it doesn't surprise me that you guys are saying she did well with it.
Right.
Victoria, sorry, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, you will have fun with this, right? If you don't, I mean, if you're not coming into a DC animated movie expecting fun, then I don't know what's some of the other Batman shows. But this is her film. This is Catwoman's, and she does her damn thing on this, right? So rating wise, I'm gonna give this I liked a decent 3.5 out of 5. I think it's worth checking out though. I guess if you're a fan of Catwoman, you'll enjoy this.
Right.
And it's anime, but don't think that this is going to be another Batman Ninja. Like clearly, one animation learned a lesson from that. But it's just a lot of fun, right? From start.
That's why I appreciate it. They just stuck on a working team. They stuck on a particular aesthetic and they made it work. They didn't go overthink it or anything like that. And I just appreciate it for that.
Yeah. And last thing, though, I would like to see another. Yeah, I think that we should get another Catwoman, feature film in the near future, man. I would love to see, if they pay off again with Batwoman as well too, so we see a little bit more of their dynamic play out, right? But yeah, this is fine, man. Give it a look.
Yeah.